Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to learn how to do this water game animation. I think the overall animation is satisfying. We can see water in the scene and the mini Taurus, that's the donutty thing that moves in the water. And we have a very nice HDRI and a nice texturing. So if this is what you want to learn, keep watching. This tutorial is going to be absolutely beginner friendly. If you do your best to follow, you'll be able to model and animate this at the end of today. So that's enough being said. Let's jump in and have some fun. So with a new scene opened up in Blender, this is Blender 4.0. You want to go select this and delete, select this and this. And finally, we're going to use the cube. Let's tap in. With this cube active now, we're going to go to our top view and scale on the y-axis like that much. And in the front view, we're going to go ahead and scale it a little bit like that, and then scale on the x like that. Now, the water game, scale on the 0 like that. The water game we're going to use, I'm going to paste a picture of it so you can see what we're modeling. So if you look at it very well, you'd see that the water game have some sort of cavity to it. But let's just start modeling. When we model, you'll be able to see how it. Let's just go Control R to add the slope first, and we're gonna um, Control B to bevel like that. And with that selected, you wanna go GX, and then move it out like that. So we're just trying to get the cube to look like the basic shape of the water game. So with our proportional editing tool, of course, we're gonna scale in this part a little bit like that. With that part scaled like that, we're gonna go ahead and add a loop cut there and then scale it like that. Just trying to get the basic shape of our water game. So you want to roll your little mouse to control the fall off, and you have something like that. So want to add a loop cut here, up here, and we're gonna add another one down here. These loop cuts are the geometry that will help us actually get the right shape. So we're gonna go Control R to add another loop cut here. Want to slide it over to the edge, and we want to add another loop cut at the other edge, and then slide it over also. And this loop cut is going to help us. But as a matter of fact, we can just mirror this, right? We can just mirror this to this side. So we can just delete this part, X and delete vertices, and then just use a mirror modifier. It makes our workflow easier. So let's just use a mirror modifier so we have it symmetrized at the other side. So whatever we do on the left hand side would show on the right hand side. I think that's easier. That's the better way to work. That saves us time and gives us more accurate geometry placing. So now what we want to do is we want to make that circle. There's gonna be like a hole that would help us, hold the water game, and that's what we're gonna be modeling now. We're gonna model that part that would give us that hole. Actually, you could use a Boolean operation for this, but this is just how I prefer to work. So just with this now, we're gonna go to our face select option. We're going to select this face. In fact, in wireframe, so we can select the one at the bottom as well. All of these faces, and we're going to go X and delete those faces. Yeah. We should have the same thing on both sides. Remember, we have our mirror modifier enabled anyway, so What we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to our edge select option, Shift Alt select this edge and this edge, and then press Control E and then bridge edge loop. That should cover that place for us. And okay, this is tight. I think I like this. So the next thing we're gonna do is to toggle off the proportional editing tool and then scale this in a little bit. We don't want the hole to be too big, otherwise it might just look really weird. So we want to scale it and then scale on the X as well. So it's not too big and it's not so small. It might be different from what you guys have, but if you're working with this reference image, you could just let me know in the comment section. I'll send you a file. I'll send you the picture of this particular water game that I'm using. So enable clipping so that it clips. I want to go GX and move it so it clips together. Okay, so what we're gonna do after that is we're gonna I'm actually looking at how we're gonna um how we're gonna add a loop cut so we can actually get the insertion that we want. Let's use the knife to cut this to this point, and it should cut it going around. Okay, so the one way we're doing this is by pressing K. I want to select this and move it in a little bit like that. To use the knife tool, you just need to press K. So I think we would have to do the same thing down here. So press K and C and then left click and then press the space bar. So you can cut from this side to the other side and then just move it in like that. Remember, we're using the mirror modifier, so we should have the same thing on the other side. So mirror modifier, it's actually a time saver because if you'd have to model, the right hand side and then move to the left hand side, that would be time consuming. But with the mirror modifier now, all we have to do is just model one part and then it'll automatically symmetrize the other. So this is what we have. It's starting to look like the water gun. So we're just loop selecting these edges so we can bevel them a little bit, maybe. So it's not so pointy. Okay, so we want you might increase them also to help you if you want, but I think I'll just leave it like that. We want to um, Shift Alt, click on, hold on, let's deselect that. Shift Alt, click on this side, and this side. All right, and then with all this selected, let's Control B to bevel. Yeah, so we have everything beveled. I think this is better than the first one we did. So just in case you didn't know how I undid that one, because I pressed Control Z to undo the first bevel. That's what you should press, just Control Z, and that would undo the first bevel for you. And then you loop select and then do this bevel that I just did, and you should have the same thing going around like that. So you want to select this in wireframe, so you can select both the bottom and the top, and then we might move it in a little bit like that just to tighten it up, because if you look at the image of the water game, it kind of have this curvy C curve shape. But you could leave it at that if that's what you want to go with. But this is just how I prefer to work. I try to get to the geometry as close to the reference image as I can, or as I could. So this is what we have going on. We have to add a loop cut somewhere. I'm trying to look at the image to see what I need to do next. Okay. Let's add a loop cut like that and then slide it in like that. Something like that should be fine. Control R will add that loop cut for you anyway. So you want to select this and want to move it up a little bit. Something like that. And we want to in wireframe select this one too and move it down like that, because the water game is not a box. The water part, the part that carries the water, is not a box. It's square shape. It's sort of a curved edge with some also a little bit of 25-degree up and down, you know. What we want to do now is to extrude that face in like that, and now we should have a basic shape to work with. We should have a basic shape for the water game to work with now. What we want to make sure we do after this though is we want to select this and we want to insert it. We're going to use this to make the button, right? Let's just rotate it like that. We're going to use this to make the button that you press for the water game for the water to sort of push out the torus. Let's just extrude it out like that. And um, what we want to do next is okay, so we are going to add some loop cuts like that because we're going to be using the subdivision surface modifier, so we might need to get as much loop cuts as possible. So when we apply the subdiv modifier, we still have um, a very nice geometry to work with. So after adding those loop cuts, well, let's look around and see if there's anything we need to do. Okay, you're gonna select this face and this face, this face and this face and this face. We're gonna go ahead and insert it a little bit like that and something like that, and we're gonna go ahead and extrude this in a little bit like that, because the reference image we have, if you look at it, as a matter of fact, I'm actually holding this water game in my hand, so it's easier for me to look at the geometry and work with what I see visually. You might want to get a water game. If you live in Nigeria, you can just hit me up. I actually do have a ton of it in my shop for sale, so it's not gonna cost you too much. Just $2 or so should get you one. I think $2 or $3. Yeah. So okay. With that selected now, let's just shift D to duplicate it and keep it as that. And press P and separate by selection. I want to rename this glass because we're going to be using this to make the glass material that sort of covers where the water is coming out from. So we want to, let me look at it very well to be sure. With the glass selected, want to tap in to edit mode. Want to go A to select everything. Control F. As a matter of fact, let us press grid view. It's not working, right? And I think that's because we have the mirror modifier active. So let's just leave that for now. Let's come in here and with the main body selected and in edit mode, of course, we want to scale it a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, something like this, and Although now that we've scaled it, it's no longer the same size with the glass, but that's what we're gonna go with. That size, something like that. So that is basically all we need to do for the modeling of this part and the glass. So in part two, we're gonna